Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today, in this episode of UPCET/UPSEE Questions with Solutions, we're going to be looking at some questions of the UPCET which were asked in 2018. So the UPCET is an exam which contains of questions from physics, chemistry, and biology. So in this particular episode, we're continuing the series and answering some more questions asked in UPCET 2018. Here comes our first question. This one's from biology. Which of the following is formed by the mesoderm of gastrula? So for those of you who don't know what the mesoderm is, so in the initial stages of the embryo, you have 3 germ layers, and the mesoderm is the middle layer. The outer layer is called the ectoderm, and the inner layer is called the endoderm. So we have 4 options for our question. So which of the following is formed by the mesoderm of gastrula? Option A is central nervous system. Nervous system and neural tissue in general are formed from the ectoderm, particularly from the notochord of the embryo, because the notochord is the predecessor to the central nervous system in vertebrates. So therefore, option A is incorrect. Option B, epidermis. This is the outer layer of the skin, and it was formed from the outer layer of the embryo. So therefore, epidermis is also ectodermal in origin. So that means option B is incorrect. Option D is liver and pancreas. These are part of the gut or the digestive system, and the parts of the gut are present in the endoderm. So they're formed from the endoderm. So option D is also incorrect. The correct answer is option C, circulatory system. The circulatory system is mesodermal in origin, and most of the connective tissues like bones, muscles, etc., bones and tendons, etc., they are formed from the mesoderm as well. Next question. The antibody produced in an allergic reaction is IgG, IgA, IgE, or IgM. So among the 4 options, option A is IgG, and this antibody is present in the blood, and it is present in circulation of the blood, and its functions refer to that. And on IgA is the antibody that is present in the colostrum, and it provides immunity to the newborn. Next, we have option D, IgM. IgM is often referred to as the largest antibody, and these operate in certain parts of the body. So therefore, options A, B, and D are incorrect. The correct answer is option C, IgE. IgE is the antibody which, on an increase in IgE, this results in increased sensitivity. So when you have increased sensitivity, then you can see that allergic reactions take place in the body, and these are usually prevented by antihistamines and anti-allergic drugs. So option C, IgE, immunoglobulin E, is the correct answer for this question. Now let's look at some other questions of physics. An eagle flies at a constant velocity horizontally across the sky, carrying a mouse, and releases the mouse while in flight. From the eagle's perspective, the mouse falls vertically with a speed v1. From an observer on the ground's perspective, the mouse falls at an angle with speed v2. What is the speed of the eagle with respect to the observer on the ground? So, how do we solve this question? In order to solve this question, we need to first visualize the movements. So we need to visualize the whole situation. So the eagle flies with the mouse, and we can consider that constant velocity as VE, velocity of the eagle. Now, from the eagle's perspective, the mouse falls vertically. So we can represent that as V1. So this is according to how the eagle sees it. However, from the ground perspective, you can find out that the velocity of the mouse is at an angle from the ground. So therefore, V2 completes the triangle, which is composed of the velocities VE, V1, and V2. So we are now presented with the triangle law of vectors. So we can now use the triangle law of vectors in order to solve this question. So basically that means the velocity V2 is equal to the sum of velocities VE and V1. So vector V2 equals vector VE plus vector V1. So therefore, you'll get the equation vector VE as equal to vector V2 minus vector V1. So now we need to find the magnitude of this vector. So VE will be equal to magnitude of V2 squared minus the magnitude of V1 squared whole root. So therefore, the correct answer to this question will be option D, V2 squared minus V1 squared. So in order to solve this question, we had to represent the vectors present, and when we represented them, we found out that we could use the triangle law of vectors in order to find out the velocity of the eagle. The velocity of the eagle is under root of V2 squared minus V1 squared. Next question. The diffraction pattern of a single slit is shown in this figure here. The point at which the path difference of the extreme rays is the two wavelengths is. So we are presented with a diffraction pattern, and we know that in the diffraction pattern, the position of the minima can be represented as delta D equals m times lambda, where lambda is the wavelength of the light. So we need to find out a point at which the path difference is the two wavelengths. So the path difference is basically the difference in distance from the point which is close to 3 till the point where you have a distance of 2 lambda. Now m here represents the number of the minima. So that means the first minima would have length lambda, would have a path difference of lambda, and the second minima will have a path difference of 2 lambda. So when 2 lambda equals delta D, that means we have the second minima, we have the distance for the second minima, and in this figure, the first minima is the 0.4, and the second minima is the 0.5. So therefore, option D, 0.5, is the correct option. So over here, it's imperative to note the position of the minima. So that's represented by the formula delta D equals m lambda. And in this question, we know that the path difference is 2 wavelengths. That's 2 times lambda. So therefore, we're dealing with the second minima, and the second minima is represented by 0.5. So therefore, option D is the correct option. Now let's look at some questions of chemistry. Which of the following pair of salts produces odorless gas with dilute H2SO4? We have HCO3 minus and HSO3 minus, HCO3 minus and CO3 minus, S2O32 minus and CH3CO2 minus, CO32 minus and CH3CO2 minus. So let's look at the following options. In option D, we have CH3CO2 minus, which on reaction with dilute H2SO4 is known to release sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So therefore, these gases are particularly pungent in odor, while we're looking for odorless gases. So therefore, option D is incorrect. In option C, we have S2O3, which on reaction with dilute H2SO4 gives you sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is particularly pungent, so therefore option C is incorrect. In option A, we have HSO3. This, again, on reaction with dilute H2SO4 releases sulfur dioxide gas. Sulfur dioxide is pungent, so therefore option A is incorrect. The correct option is option B, HCO3 minus and CO3 minus. So both HCO3 minus and CO3 minus on reaction with dilute H2SO4 releases carbon dioxide gas, and carbon dioxide is an odorless gas, and its presence is, its presence is found out by passing it through lime water, which makes lime water milky. It's only then that you understand that it's CO2 that's coming out. It doesn't have an odor, so therefore option B, HCO3 and CO3, is the correct answer. Now options A and D are incorrect because one of them produces a pungent odor gas, that is CH3CO2 minus and HSO3 minus respectively, so therefore options A and D are incorrect. Here the question is asking us to find the following pair. So both salts must produce odorless gas. Now let's look at the final question of this episode. A liter of an acidified solution of KMnO4 containing 15.8 grams of KMnO4 is decolorized by passing sufficient amount of SO2. If SO2 is produced by the roasting of iron pyrite, that is FeS2, then the amount of pyrite required to produce the necessary amount of SO2 will be. Is it 15.8, 15, 7.5, or 7.9? So, how do we solve this question? Well, for this particular question, we need to know the reactions behind the question. So we have two reactions. KMnO4 is decolorized by passing sufficient amount of SO2. So the balanced reaction for that is 2KMnO4 plus 5SO2 plus 2H2O gives K2SO4 plus 2MnSO4 plus 2H2S. So this is the first reaction. The second reaction, it refers to the formation of SO2 by roasting iron pyrites. So roasting means burning iron pyrites in excess of oxygen. So 4FeS2 plus 11O2. 4FeS2 plus 11O2 gives 2Fe2O3 plus 8SO2. So now we know that 2 moles of KMnO4 reacts with 5 moles of SO2. So that means 1 mole of KMnO4 reacts with 5 by 2 moles of SO2. So we've got so far. Now let's look at the second reaction. We see that 4 molecules of FeS2 react to form 8 molecules of SO2. So that means 1 mole of FeS2 will provide 2 moles of SO2. So now we have 2 moles of SO2. Now we want to make that react with 1 mole of KMnO4. So from the 2 moles, only 5 by 4 moles will be taken. So that means 1 mole of KMnO4 will require 5 by 4 moles of SO2, which is taken from 1 mole of FeS2. So 1 mole of KMnO4 requires 5 by 2 moles of SO2. That's what we know. Now, we also know that 1 mole of SO2 is produced from half mole of FeS2. So, if we want to find out the number of moles of KMnO4 and the number of moles of FeS2 required to make a reaction. So it is found that 1 mole of KMnO4 requires 5/2 moles of SO2, which is sourced from 5/4 moles of FeS2. Now we know that the given mass is 15.8. The molar mass, we're looking at KMnO4 here. So the molar mass of KMnO4 is 158. So it's basically potassium with 39, manganese with 55, and oxygen is 16, but we have 4 of them, so you get 64. So add those up, you'll get 158. So given mass by molar mass, so that means the number of moles will be equal to 0.1. So now we know that 0.1 moles of KMnO4 are present in 15.8 grams. So now we need to find out the number of moles of FeS2. So what we do is we multiply the number of moles of KMnO4 times the number of moles of FeS2 formed when you have 1 mole number of moles of FeS2 required to have 1 mole of KMnO4 react with SO2. So that is 5/4. So basically we have 0.1 times 5/4. 5/4 is 1.25. 0.1 is 1/10. So 1.25 divided by 10. So 0.125 moles is the correct number of moles. So now we need to find out the given mass. So the given mass is 0.125 times the molar mass. So here we are finding out the molar mass of FeS2. For iron it's 56, and for sulfur it's 2 times 32, that's 64. 56 plus 64 gives you 120. So that is 125 divided by 1000 into 120. So 0 gets cancelled. Both are 112 are divided by 4. So 12 by 4 gives you 3. 100 by 4 gives you 25. 125 is 5 times 25. So therefore the given mass is 15 grams. So that means option B, 15 grams of FeS2, is correct. Now that concludes this episode of UPCET Questions with Solution. We hope you found this episode interesting. For more of our useful and interesting content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, which is Brain Blitz Audios. So until the next webisode, take care, stay safe, bye-bye for now.